Ocean waves find their way to coastlines round the globe, but none more colorful, exotic, yet hauntingly familiar than those of Australia, the land down under. First port of call, quite naturally, is Sydney, largest and most important city of the Australian Commonwealth, where some fortunate apartment dwellers look right out on one of the most spacious and best protected natural harbors in the world. In a little more than a century and a half since England took over from the Aborigines on these very shores, Sydney has been systematically developed into a thriving, picturesque, vital harbor of the British Empire. From whatever angle it is viewed, Sydney Harbour Bridge is impressive, and well it might be, as it is numbered among the longest and widest in the world. In fact, it boasts of being the longest of arch-type construction. Built over 30 years ago, it links the city with the North Shore suburbs. World travelers quickly recognize this landmark, which arches over the quaint buildings of early colonial days. From this angle, the Sydney Harbour Bridge looks like many another bridge you have driven across, even to the vigilant toll taker at the opposite end. Shillings and sixpences or quarters and dimes, there is little difference. Rapid, efficient transportation is pretty much the same anywhere. These trolleys may remind you of Frisco, while these double-deckers recall scenes of London town. Traditional blends with modern trends in a country so newly shaped that broad avenues and spacious public buildings spread out unhampered. Like other modern capital cities, Sydney's wide avenues assure a beautiful development pattern and a cure of ever-increasing traffic volume. Handsome public buildings fill in the picture of governmental majesty that is traditional the world over. For a new nation, Australia has quickly acquired the essential monuments to culture and good city planning. Choice city sites were wisely preserved for public parks, the pride of Sydney. No one lives far from the hub of the city with such modern electric train service. Like many American suburban trains, these cars find their way into a modern subway network beneath the city streets. And when the countryside beckons, the open road leads to national parks that appeal to every taste. Mountains and wild, fascinating volcanic rock formations. Lake country to match that of both the old and new worlds. Inland resorts like these are the mecca for thousands of Australians who love their work, but love their leisure even more. Who wouldn't, with all this so close at hand? There are pastoral scenes to whet the appetite of tourist, painter, hunter, or seeker after peace and tranquility in the fresh, unspoiled natural beauties. Almost all Australians live on the 12,000-mile perimeter or coastline of the huge island continent, hence their love of the water and beaches. The aquatic life comes naturally, and water sports are widely enjoyed by young and old alike. You might even think you were in Hawaii. The beaches are broken by rugged bits of coast that afford wonderful surf fishing. What young lad wouldn't love this life? No, these strapping fellows aren't invading battalions from Mars. They're lifeguards, and this is the world-famous Surf Carnival. A surf-bathing populace gives rise to safety problems, and these are the Huskies who make safety a spectacle of brawn and precision. There are hundreds of these club groups, traditionally known as surf patrols. Records show that their vigilance and skill have saved the lives of 65,000 surf bathers. Watch the meticulous ceremony that marks each step of this time-honored contest. Each lifeguard draws from a hat his position on the mock rescue team, which then forms up with such disciplined formality as you might expect at the changing of the palace guards. Each man must be fully capable of filling any of the posts when the alarm is sounded, and a surf rescue commands split-second response. Besides the actual lifesaver who retrieves the drowning victim, there are teammates to speed out the lifeline and others to reel it back in. Years of specialized training transform these expert swimmers into expert savers of life. This is just a contest now, but the grim reality of this machine-like exercise is always apparent to the spectators. What a reassuring sight it is for Aussies to witness this contest to determine the swiftest, surest team of lifesavers. Swimming may be all well and good, but surf boats offer a more substantial mode of rescue operation. This takes a crew of able seamen when the surf is running wild. And here's a sport for developing the necessary sense of balance. A greased pole adds to the fun and the hazards. How do they do it? Answer, they don't. Canberra, the federal capital of Australia, lies majestically in an amphitheater setting of rising hills. A city of gleaming white buildings, no slums. The youngest capital city of the world. American city planner Walter Burley Griffin was responsible for the design of broad avenues, parks, and beautifully situated buildings like Parliament House. Our allied comrades in arms treasure many souvenirs of both world wars. No scene of Australia is complete without the kangaroo, national symbol whose pocket baby carriage amuses the world. These koala bears look like a nursery toy. Because of their tree-living habits, they are called monkey bears. Unfortunately, sportsmen and fur hunters have made them almost extinct. But at last, a national effort is being made to preserve these engaging monkey bears. Although only a third of this flattest, driest continent is considered suitable for agriculture, modern methods are making great strides. Sheep, brought to Australia 150 years ago, have produced a strain that now bears a weight of fleece far above average and accounts for a major part of the world's supply. Stop counting those sheep or you may find yourself asleep the rest of our trip. Cattle, too, find ideal conditions to thrive in the midst of an expanding economy that must feed as well as clothe its growing populace. Again, the setting is just as familiar as our own western cattle country. Never far from the coast, we are now exploring the shallow waters inside the Great Barrier Reef. In some areas, the azure transparency of the ocean makes it possible to study underwater life. Coral, in all its delicate beauty, is a rare fascination. There is infinite variation in its form. Look through this simple glass-bottomed box at the inhabitants of these crystal waters that are no less worthy of admiring study. Brilliant and ferocious members of the family of red fire fish. Coral fish, with what appears to be an extra eye on its tail. Any other fish attacking this fellow wouldn't know whether he was coming or going. In the sea, as on the land, this can easily be spotted as a parrot fish. Polly, want a cracker? And the sea porcupine, common to Australian harbors, is just as menacing as his land-bound cousin. What a host of interesting tenants inhabit the waters under the land down under. Great Palm Island lies off North Queensland and is the largest colony of Aborigines. Coconut palms fringe the shores of the Palm Island chain, where a little daring and sure-footedness does not go unrewarded as you will see. Captured from their swaying heights, these coconuts provide cool, sweet milk. Your dentist wouldn't recommend this approach, but this rugged boy never heard of a dentist. The coconut palm is the great provider not only of milk and food, but of the most amazing all-weather resistant roofing material. These interwoven palm strands will withstand the fury of a tropic gale. The natives of the Northern Territories enjoy the elaborate preparations for frequent dances, while cotton is applied with vegetable adhesives. Years ago, they used human blood. A far cry from the hustling streets of Sydney and the civilized pleasures of the beaches. Yet in its many-sided personality, Australia displays the unique and the familiar in such proximity as to make each more exciting. And every visitor is thrilled that he answered the call, down under we go.